Sister sold her house for a dream vacation. Now my parents want her family to move into my place. So I've got this house, right? Been living here for the last 10 years, paying it off bit by bit, and finally I can say it's mine. It's nothing fancy, just a modest 3-bedroom place, but man, it's mine. You know that feeling when you've worked your butt off for something, and you can finally just sit there and think, yeah, I did that? That's where I'm at. I don't have any fancy decor or big backyard, but it's a good spot. Comfortable, quiet, and most importantly, it's my space. It's where I can just chill without any stress. Then there's my sister, Jenny. She's 29, married to this guy, Alex, who's 31. They're what you'd call the free spirit types. You know the kind, the ones who are always talking about how everyone else is wasting their life in the grind, working boring 9-to-5s while they live their best life or whatever. They've always been like that, ever since they got together, always planning some big, dramatic escape from the rat race. Honestly, I didn't think they'd ever actually do it. I mean, everyone has these dreams of quitting their job and traveling the world, right? It's like a phase you grow out of when you realize bills exist. But not Jenny and Alex. Oh no, they're the kind of people who actually went through with it. They sold their house, their actual home where their 2 kids, Emma and Lucas, have lived their entire lives, and decided they were going to travel the world for a year. Yeah, you heard that right. They sold everything for a dream vacation, thinking the market was booming and they'd made bank off the sale. They figured they'd use the money to live off, work odd jobs here and there, and stretch it out for a whole year, just going from place to place. So I'm watching this all unfold from my little house and I'm thinking, okay, cool for them, but also, this is a bad idea. They've got 2 kids to take care of, Emma's 7 and Lucas is 5, and traveling with kids isn't like backpacking through Europe on a whim. There's planning involved, but they just waved it all off, saying they'd figure it out along the way. And I'm like, all right, whatever, it's your life. Fast forward a couple of months and I'm chilling in my house, probably watching TV or something, when I get a call from Jenny. Now, I haven't heard much from her since they left. Just the occasional Instagram post about how amazing life is, and some pictures of them eating weird food in random places. So I figure this call is going to be one of those, like she's going to brag about how awesome everything is. But the second I pick up, I can tell something's off. Jenny sounds stressed, really stressed, and she starts talking about how things didn't go as planned. Apparently, they blew through their money way faster than they expected. Like, within 2 months, they were pretty much broke. Turns out, traveling the world is expensive. Who knew, right? They stayed in nice places, ate out at restaurants, and just lived it up like they had endless cash. But when you're not working and still spending, that money doesn't last long, especially with 2 kids. Hostels and cheap Airbnbs are all fun and games until you've got 2 tired, hungry kids who need a stable place to crash every night. Now they're stuck. They can't keep traveling because they've got no funds, but they also don't want to settle down and buy another house yet. So, guess what? They ask if they can move in with me. Yep, Jenny, Alex, and their 2 kids, all in my 3-bedroom house, for, get this, 10 months. And here's the kicker. They want to stay rent-free. They didn't even offer to contribute. Just a straight up, hey, can we live with you for almost a year while we figure things out? I've got to admit, I didn't know how to respond at first. I mean, it's my sister, and yeah, I care about her, but this is my house, my space. I didn't work my butt off for 10 years just to let 4 extra people come in and take over the place. Plus, I've got a routine, you know? I like my peace and quiet. I can't even imagine what my house would be like with 2 little kids running around. Not to mention the mess. So I tell her, look, Jenny, I love you guys, but this just isn't gonna work. The house is too small, and I don't want that kind of disruption. I even offered to help them find an affordable rental nearby or pitch in some cash for a couple of months to help them get back on their feet. But no, that wasn't enough. Jenny gets pissed. Like immediately. She starts calling me selfish, saying I don't care about family and that I'm jealous of their adventurous lifestyle. Jealous? Really? Now I'm starting to get mad too. It's not about jealousy or not caring about family. It's about boundaries. I don't owe them a place to live just because they made some dumb decisions and didn't think things through. I get that life doesn't always go as planned, but they sold their house without having a backup plan, and now they want to dump the consequences on me. And here's where it gets even better. After Jenny blows up at me, she gets our parents involved. Now, my parents live in a tiny apartment, so they can't take in Jenny's family. But instead of understanding my side, they start pushing me to let them move in. My mom starts going on about how family helps family, and that I should be more understanding of Jenny and Alex's situation. She tells me I don't understand the value of experiences and that I should be supportive. Supportive? I offered them support. I offered to help them find a rental or cover part of their expenses for a couple of months. But that's not enough. They want the whole package: free rent, my house, and my space for almost a year. And the worst part is, they're not even planning to settle down. They're still talking about taking occasional trips if they find cheap deals. So basically, they want to live in my house, rent-free, while still being free-spirited travelers whenever they feel like it. How does that make any sense? So now, I'm sitting here, trying to figure out how to deal with the fallout. Jenny's not talking to me, my parents are mad at me, and even some of our mutual friends are saying I'm being too harsh. But I don't think I'm in the wrong here. It's not like I'm kicking them when they're down. I offered to help in other ways. I just don't want them living in my house rent-free for 10 months. All right, so after that first awkward phone call with my sister Jenny, I kind of figured things were going to get weird. But I wasn't ready for just how messy it was about to become. I was thinking maybe I could just put my foot down, tell her no, and that'd be the end of it. You know, just draw the line and move on. But nope. Jenny and Alex decided to show up at my house, in person, like a week later. They didn't even give me a heads up, which already had me feeling off. So I'm just doing my usual thing on a Saturday morning, enjoying the quiet, when the doorbell rings. I open it, and there's Jenny standing there with Alex and the kids. They've got this big, hopeful look on their faces, like I'm about to save the day or something. Meanwhile, I'm just thinking, oh man, here we go. I mean, I knew what they were going to ask, but I didn't expect it to be like this. Them just rolling up like it's a done deal. Jenny starts off with small talk, asking how I'm doing, how work's going, all that, but I can feel the tension in the air. I know they're not here just to chat. It's like that moment where someone's clearly buttering you up for something big, and I'm just standing there trying to stay polite, but also bracing myself for what's coming. Finally, after what feels like forever, Alex clears his throat and jumps in. He's like, "So, Brian, we've been thinking about what you said on the phone." And then Jenny takes over, because of course she's the one running the show in their relationship. She's all like, "We know you said you didn't think having us live here would work out, but we really believe we can make it work. It's just 10 months. We won't be any trouble. The kids are good, they'll stay out of your way, and we'll keep everything clean." I just stand there for a second, not sure how to respond, because, let's be real, there's no way two little kids are going to stay out of my way in a house this size. And the idea that they're just going to magically not disrupt my life? Yeah, that's not happening. I try to stay calm, though. I don't want to blow up right away, so I ask, what's the plan, though? I mean, what happens after the 10 months? Are you going to get another house? What about work? Jenny and Alex glance at each other like they haven't really thought this through. Then Jenny goes, "We're still figuring that part out. We might go back to traveling if things work out. We've been checking for cheap flight deals, and there's a chance we could get back on the road by the end of the year. We just need a place to regroup, you know? Somewhere to stay while we figure out our next move." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So not only do they want to crash at my place for 10 months, but they're also still talking about taking more trips? Like, really? You're broke, you've got 2 kids, and your big plan is to keep living this fantasy life where you're just floating around from place to place. I didn't even know what to say. I mean, where's the logic in that? So I try to be as polite as possible, and I tell them, "Look, I understand you guys are in a tough spot, but I'm really not comfortable with this. It's not about not wanting to help you out, it's just that my house isn't set up for that. I've got my own routine, and honestly, I don't think having you all here for 10 months would work for anyone. The house is too small, and you know, there's just not enough space." That's when Jenny's face changes. She goes from hopeful to pissed in about 2 seconds flat. "Are you serious?" she says, crossing her arms. "We're family, Brian. Family helps each other out. You've got all this space, and it's just you living here. What's the big deal?" Now, I'm starting to get frustrated. I mean, I get it, they're stressed, but this whole thing is starting to feel like they think they're entitled to my space just because we share the same blood. I try to stay calm and explain, "It's not just about space, Jenny. It's about my life, too. I've worked really hard to get this house, and I need my own peace and quiet. I'm happy to help you in other ways, but having you all live here for almost a year? I just don't see that working." Alex finally jumps in, probably sensing that things are getting heated. He's trying to play peacemaker, saying, "Maybe we can work something out. What if we helped around the house? We could do chores, cook meals, whatever you need, and we'll be out during the day. You won't even notice we're here." But here's the thing. Of course I'd notice. 4 extra people living in my house? Yeah, I'm definitely going to notice. Plus, the idea of them being out during the day doesn't make any sense. They've got 2 small kids. Where are they even going to go? They're broke. It's not like they can afford to just take the kids on daily outings. I shake my head and say, I appreciate the offer, but no. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. And that's when Jenny loses it. She starts ranting about how I've always been stingy and how I don't understand what it means to really live. She says I've never taken any risks, that I'm just a boring guy with a boring life, and that I'm probably jealous of their adventurous lifestyle. Yeah, she went there. Now I'm pissed. But I try not to let it show. I just say, Jenny, this isn't about me being jealous or anything like that. It's about boundaries. You guys made your choice to sell your house and live this lifestyle. That's fine, but now you're asking me to take responsibility for it, and that's not fair. She's not having it. We wouldn't be asking if we had any other option. You think we want to be here begging for help? No. But this is what family does, Brian. They help each other out when things get tough. I thought you, of all people, would get that. At this point, Alex just looks uncomfortable. He's not saying much anymore, just staring at the floor while Jenny continues to rant about how I'm selfish and heartless. She's talking about how they're inspired by their travels and how they don't want to settle for the typical suburban life. And all I can think is, yeah, but you need money for all of that, don't you? Finally, I just say, look, I'm sorry, but my answer is still no. I can't have you guys living here. It's just not going to work. They storm out after that, Jenny muttering something about how they'll figure it out without my help. And honestly, I'm relieved. I didn't want to keep arguing, but I can already tell this isn't the end of it. And yeah, it wasn't, because after they left, things escalated way more than I expected. Update 1. So after Jenny and Alex stormed out of my place, I thought that was the end of it. You know, like maybe they'd cool off, come to their senses, and realize that they're the ones who screwed up. But man, was I wrong. A couple of days later, the real fallout began. I'm sitting at home, enjoying my usual routine, when I get a call from my mom. Now, normally when my mom calls, it's just to check in or ask me if I've been eating enough vegetables. Seriously. But I could tell right away that this call wasn't going to be one of those. She starts off with, Brian, I need to talk to you about Jenny. And that's when I know I'm in for a ride. Apparently, Jenny went straight to our parents after leaving my house. She gave them her whole sob story about how I refused to help them when they were down and out. And of course, she framed it in a way that made me look like the bad guy. My mom's voice is all disappointed, like I kicked a puppy or something, and she goes, I don't understand why you wouldn't help your sister, Brian. They're in a tough spot, and family's supposed to help each other. I try to keep calm, but inside I'm already annoyed. I explained to her what really happened, how I offered to help them find a rental, even give them some money to get back on their feet, but they just wanted to move in with me for 10 months, rent-free. I tell her how their whole plan was ridiculous, how they blew all their money without thinking things through, and now they expect me to bail them out. But my mom, of course, doesn't see it that way. They made a mistake, Brian, but they're still family. You have the space. It wouldn't be forever, just long enough for them to figure things out. Here's the thing, though. My mom's got this way of guilting you without even meaning to. She's not mean or anything, but she's always dropping these little comments that make you feel like you're failing at being a good son or brother. It's exhausting. But this time, I wasn't having it. I told her straight up, Mom, I'm not doing it. I love Jenny, but she and Alex need to take responsibility for their choices. It's not my job to let them crash at my place because they didn't plan. She doesn't like that answer, but she lets it go, for now. I think we're done with the conversation, but oh no, it's just getting started. Because the next day, my dad calls. Now, my dad's a different story. He's not the guilt trip type. He's more the tough love type, which means when he's mad, you hear about it. He gets straight to the point, no sugarcoating. Brian, he says, I hear you've been giving your sister a hard time. I try to explain myself again, but he cuts me off, going on about how I'm being selfish and how I've always been the one who has it easy. Yeah, right. Like working my butt off for 10 years to pay off this house is easy. He starts ranting about how Jenny's always been the one taking risks, living her life to the fullest, and I'm just sitting here comfortable, not doing anything exciting. He's basically saying I'm being a coward for not letting them stay, like I'm some kind of stick in the mud who doesn't understand what it's like to really live. At this point, I'm getting heated. I tell him, Dad, this isn't about being adventurous or not. It's about them making a bad decision and expecting me to clean it up. I worked hard for this house, and I'm not going to let them come in and take advantage of that. But he's not hearing it. He keeps going on about how I'm the one who's in the position to help, and how I'm failing as a brother by not stepping up. It's like he's taking everything Jenny said and running with it, making me out to be the bad guy in this whole situation. And honestly, that hurts. I've always been the responsible one in the family, the one who's worked hard, kept my head down, and did what I needed to do. But now it feels like none of that matters. After that call, I'm fuming. I feel like I'm getting attacked from all sides. My parents are both mad at me, and Jenny's probably out there telling everyone I'm a heartless jerk. And guess what? That's exactly what's happening. A few hours later, I get a message from one of our mutual friends. Let's call him Tom. Tom's a good guy, but he's also friends with Jenny, so he's heard her side of the story. He texts me, "Hey man, what's going on with you and Jenny? She says you're not letting her family stay with you even though they're in trouble." I explain my side to him, how it's not that simple, how they're asking for way too much, and how I've already offered other ways to help. And Tom, being the reasonable guy he is, listens. But then he hits me with, "Yeah, but it's just for a little while, right? You could tough it out for 10 months, it's family, dude." And now I'm just done. It's like everyone's forgotten that I have a right to say no. Like my house isn't even mine anymore. It's just a resource that everyone thinks they're entitled to. I'm frustrated because no matter how I explain it, everyone seems to think I'm being unreasonable. They all keep acting like it's no big deal for me to let a whole family move in and turn my life upside down for almost a year. Then the final blow comes when Jenny herself texts me. It's not a long message, but it hits hard. She just says, "I can't believe you've turned your back on us. We really needed you." Now I'm sitting there staring at my phone, feeling torn. Part of me feels guilty, like maybe I should have just given in to avoid all this drama. But another part of me is still standing firm. I know I'm not in the wrong here. It's not my fault they made bad choices, and it's not fair for them to dump their problems on me just because I have a house. Still, the guilt is eating away at me, and I'm starting to wonder if I could have handled things differently. Maybe I should have been softer in my response. Maybe I should have been more understanding. But at the same time, I know that giving in would have just enabled them to keep making these reckless decisions, thinking they can always rely on someone else to fix things. So yeah, now I'm stuck. My parents are mad at me, Jenny's pissed, and even some of our friends are questioning whether I did the right thing. And me? I'm just trying to hold on to the fact that I set a boundary for myself, even though it feels like the whole world is telling me I'm wrong for doing it. But this is far from over, because as much as I want to just walk away from all the drama, Jenny isn't done yet. Update 2. Alright, so after all the phone calls and texts, I'm thinking maybe things will just blow over if I ignore it for a bit. Maybe Jenny and my parents will calm down, realize I'm not the bad guy here, and we can all move on. But no, things didn't settle down. They escalated. Big time. It starts with my mom. She's still trying to play the mediator, calling me every couple of days, always saying, "Brian, you've got to help your sister. You don't know what it's like to be in her shoes. She's struggling. She's got kids." It's the same thing over and over. And every time I have to remind her that it's not about me not wanting to help. It's about how much they're asking. It's not like they're in danger of being homeless on the street. I offered help in other ways, but apparently nothing I say seems to get through. Then one evening, I get a knock on my door. It's Jenny and Alex. No text or call beforehand, just showed up like everything's normal. I open the door, and there they are, standing there with these tired, desperate looks on their faces, the kids holding onto Jenny's legs. I can tell right away this is about to be awkward. Jenny's holding some papers in her hand, and I'm already feeling that sinking feeling in my stomach, like I'm about to be dragged into something bigger than I expected. Jenny doesn't waste any time. "Brian, we need you to reconsider. This is serious. We've looked everywhere, and there's nowhere affordable for us to stay. The rentals are too expensive, and we don't have the money to even put down a deposit." She waves the papers in front of me. They're printouts of apartment listings, most of them crossed out with red ink. I glance at them for a second, but I'm already thinking about how I'm going to respond. I'm not in the mood to argue, but it's clear they're not taking no for an answer. Before I can say anything, Alex speaks up, and this time, he's not the calm, quiet guy from before. He's frustrated, almost angry. "We've tried everything, Brian. We're out of options. You've got this house all to yourself, and you're just sitting on it while we're struggling. You really can't let us stay for a little while?" Now, I'm getting irritated. I've already had this conversation a dozen times, and every time I say no, they just keep pushing. So I say, "I've told you guys before, I'm not comfortable with having 4 extra people in my house for nearly a year. I offered to help you find something else. I even offered money, but you're not listening. I can't let you move in, that's final." But Jenny, she's not backing down this time. She steps closer, and now her voice is shaking, like she's on the verge of tears. "Brian, we have nowhere else to go. The kids are exhausted. We're exhausted. We're not asking for much, just a roof over our heads for a little while. We'll pay you back when we get back on our feet. Please, you're our last hope. I look at the kids, Emma and Lucas, and they're just standing there looking confused. They probably don't understand what's going on, and honestly, that makes me feel like crap. It's not their fault their parents made bad choices. But I can't let that guilt trip me into making a decision I'm going to regret. I've got to stand firm, or else this whole situation is going to turn my life upside down. So, I take a deep breath and say, I'm sorry, but I can't. I know it's hard, but this isn't the answer. You need to find another solution. And that's when Jenny snaps. She goes from sad to furious in a split second. You're unbelievable, she yells, her voice echoing in the hallway. You're just sitting here, living comfortably, while your own family is suffering. I can't believe how heartless you've become. You've changed, Brian. You're not the brother I grew up with. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I'm too angry to let them sink in. I fire back. I haven't changed. You're the one who's acting entitled, thinking you can just show up and expect me to bail you out because you didn't plan ahead. I didn't make this mess. You did, and now you want me to fix it for you. That's not how this works. The argument spirals from there. Alex jumps in saying I've always been the selfish one in the family, that I've never been there for them when they needed me. He's bringing up stuff from years ago, random things that don't even matter anymore. Like how I didn't lend him money for some side business idea he had back in the day. It's like they've been holding on to all this resentment, waiting for the perfect moment to throw it in my face. At this point, we're all shouting over each other and the kids are crying. It's a disaster. I'm standing in my own doorway getting accused of being the worst brother on the planet, and all I can think is, how did it get to this? Finally, I just say, enough. This is my house and I've made my decision. I'm not changing my mind. Now, I think you need to leave. Jenny looks at me like she can't believe what she's hearing. She opens her mouth to say something, but then she just shakes her head, grabs the kids, and storms off. Alex follows behind her, glaring at me like I'm the devil or something. As they walk away, I feel a weird mix of anger, guilt, and relief. I know I did the right thing by standing my ground, but it still sucks that it had to come to this. I watch them get into their car and drive off, and for a minute, I just stand there, wondering what's going to happen next. I can't help but think that this isn't the end of it, that there's more drama on the way. And guess what? I was right. Because later that night, my phone blows up with messages from family members. Turns out, Jenny went full-on drama mode and told everyone what happened. She's making it sound like I kicked them out into the streets, like they've got nowhere to go, and I'm sitting here laughing about it. My aunt, my cousins, everyone is texting me, saying stuff like, how could you do this to Jenny and the kids? You've got a big house and they just need a place to stay. It's like they've all bought into this story that I'm some kind of villain hoarding my house while my sister suffers. And no matter how many times I try to explain my side, no one's listening. They're all just repeating the same thing. Family helps family. By the end of the night, I'm exhausted. I've spent hours defending myself, but it feels like no one cares. Jenny's managed to turn everyone against me, and now I'm the bad guy in this whole mess. But here's the thing. I'm still not budging. I'm not going to let them guilt me into doing something that's going to make my life miserable. I know I did the right thing, even if no one else sees it that way. I just have to figure out how to survive the fallout. Update 3. So after the whole family explosion and the messages coming at me from all angles, I was ready to just disconnect for a while, like turn my phone off, lock the doors, and wait for the storm to pass. But no, of course, things weren't going to calm down. If anything, they were about to hit a whole new level of ridiculous. A couple of days go by, and I haven't heard directly from Jenny or Alex, which I guess should have been a relief, but honestly it made me feel like something big was brewing. You know that quiet before a big argument? That's what it felt like. I could just tell that they weren't done with me yet. Sure enough, one morning I wake up to find this massive post on Facebook that Jenny wrote. And of course, it's public, so everyone and their dog can see it. She's going off about how some people in the family, obviously me, have abandoned her in her time of need, how she and her kids are basically one step away from being homeless, and how all they wanted was a little support from someone who's in a position of privilege. The post is full of dramatic language, talking about how certain family members are selfish and don't understand the importance of helping each other out when things get tough. And yeah, the comments section, it's a total mess. People are jumping in, saying how heartless it is to turn away family, how they can't believe someone would do that to their own sister. I'm reading all this and just feeling my blood boil because these people don't even know half the story. They're just eating up whatever Jenny is feeding them, and suddenly I'm public enemy number one. What's worse is that a bunch of our extended family is in the comments too. My aunt, who I haven't spoken to in years, is chiming in with, "I always knew Brian was selfish. Like this is some known fact about me." My cousins are sharing the post and suddenly I'm getting notifications left and right about how I need to step up and do the right thing. At this point, I'm fuming. I try to calm down and think rationally, but the more I scroll through the comments, the angrier I get. It's like no matter how much I've explained my side to people, Jenny's managed to twist the story so that I look like the villain. And honestly, it's working. I'm losing the public battle here. So I make a decision. I'm not usually the type to air my dirty laundry online, but this has gone too far. If Jenny's going to drag me through the mud on Facebook, I'm going to set the record straight. I type out a long post in response, explaining my side of the story, how I offered to help Jenny and Alex in other ways, how they're the ones who demanded to live rent-free for nearly a year, and how I simply can't accommodate them because it's unreasonable. I mention that they've been irresponsible with their money, that they've been trying to guilt-trip me into giving up my house, and how this whole situation is their fault, not mine. I hit post and wait. And man, did the fireworks start. Immediately, people are commenting on my post, some siding with me saying it's not my responsibility to take in Jenny and her family. Others, of course, are still backing Jenny, saying I'm being too harsh and that family should stick together no matter what. It's turning into this full-blown argument in the comments section, with people going back and forth, defending one side or the other. Jenny, of course, sees my post and flips out. She starts messaging me directly, calling me every name in the book, selfish, heartless, arrogant. She says I'm destroying the family, and that she can't believe I would embarrass her like this in front of everyone. The irony of her saying that after she dragged me publicly first is just too much. I try to keep my cool and respond calmly. I tell her that she left me no choice, that I had to defend myself after she blasted me on Facebook, but she's not hearing any of it. She's too wrapped up in her own narrative, convinced that she's the victim here. Eventually, she blocks me on Facebook like we're teenagers or something, which is honestly fine by me. Less drama I have to deal with. But just when I think things might finally start to die down, I get a call from my dad. Here we go again, right? He's not yelling this time, but his voice is low and serious, which is worse in a way. He's disappointed. He says he saw the whole thing on Facebook, and he's upset that I took it public. He's mad that I didn't just handle it privately, and that now the whole family is divided. I can tell he's blaming me for making the situation worse, but I try to explain that I was backed into a corner, that Jenny started this whole thing by attacking me first. But no matter what I say, he's not happy. He starts talking about how I need to make things right, how family is the most important thing, and how it's not too late to offer Jenny and Alex a place to stay. He says if I do that, maybe things can go back to normal. And here's where I finally snap. I tell him, "Dad, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to let them live with me, and I'm done apologizing for it. I've done nothing wrong. They made their choices, and now they have to deal with the consequences. I'm not their safety net, and it's not my job to fix their problems." He goes quiet for a moment, and I can tell he's shocked. I don't usually stand up to him like this, but I'm done. I'm not going to let them guilt me into doing something I don't want to do just to keep the peace. Finally, he sighs and says, "I hope you know what you're doing, Brian." Then he hangs up. After that, things go quiet. Jenny still blocked me on social media, and my parents aren't really talking to me either. It feels like the whole family is in this weird, tense standoff, waiting for someone to make the next move. But here's the thing. I'm not making the next move. I've done my part. I've stood my ground, and I'm not backing down. It sucks that things had to turn out this way. I never wanted to fight with my family, but at the same time, I know I did the right thing. I set a boundary, and I stuck to it, even when it felt like the whole world was against me. And yeah, maybe the family dynamic is messed up now, and maybe things won't go back to the way they were. But honestly, I'm okay with that, because at least I know I'm living on my own terms in my own house without anyone trying to guilt me into giving that up. And that for me is worth all the drama in the world.